Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about what to do when you have a crush on someone. So basically what I think you should do when you have a crush on someone is don't let it fester, basically. You don't want to let this thing be too prolonged, because I've wasted a lot of time, especially when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, developing crushes on people that never really went anywhere, and I spent so much time thinking about them, wasting my energy on them basically, when I was in friend zone, or they just didn't reciprocate the feelings, or it just was with the wrong kind of person. So I wasted a lot of time basically in these kind of like romantic endeavors that would never lead anywhere. So I don't want you to do the same thing. Like, if you get a crush on someone, the best thing for you to do is to actually, as soon as possible, see if they're in or out, basically. Like, are you, to find out basically if they're willing to date you or not. Because you don't want to be wasting your time. You need to find out basically if they're in or if they're out. And the way that you do that is by simply asking them out on a date. You say to them something like, hey, I think you're really cute. Or if it's someone you've known for a while, you'll say, hey, this is a bit random, but hey, I think you're really cute. And I was just wondering if you'd like to go for a drink sometime. When are you available to do so? Saying something along those lines. Because the people that like you, the people that find you attractive as well, will say yes to going out with you. They will say yes. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense logically that someone who likes you will say yes to going out with you, right? They're not going to give you a wishy-washy answer like what most people might do. Like, a lot of the time that I found, like, most people that you come into contact with who you're dating probably won't want to go out with you. Most people probably are not attracted to you, or they're not attracted to you enough to say yes. So you kind of need to keep on going, keep on asking people out. But the people that do like you will say yes. The people that don't like you will either give you mixed signals, or they'll just flat out reject you and say no. So you should always take mixed signals as a no. Someone who's, hot and cold, especially if you're actually looking for a romantic relationship. Never waste your time on people that, are there one day and then they're not talking to you another day, and they say that they'll meet up with you and they never do. Those are the worst kinds of ones, because they kind of confuse you a little bit. But you need to take mixed signals as a no. Definitely take them as a no. And there's other people out there that would just flat out say, no, thank you, I'm not really interested. Those are the best kinds of people, because then you know exactly where you stand. Although sometimes that doesn't stop people from still developing crushes on them and hoping that one day things are going to change. But it's best to only go out with those people that you ask out, that say yes, that show up, that are enthusiastic to be there, that really want to be there, and that things escalate romantically. That's what you want. You want to be dating people like that, who are interested in you. So the best thing to do when you develop a crush is to ask them out, because then that leaves no room for confusion. That leaves no room for any wishy-washiness, because then you know the answer. If they like you, they'll be there. If they don't, then they'll give you mixed signals, or they'll just say no. Okay, so that's the best thing for you to do if you develop a crush on someone. And the reason why I don't want you to waste time dwelling on them is because you don't want to waste your time. And I wasted a lot of time on people that things were just not going to work well with, or they were just inappropriate crushes and things like that. And I would just pine and pine and pine for months, sometimes maybe even years, over the same people. And it just was such a time suck. And it's annoying because, a lot of movies that you see, a lot of TV shows, sometimes even novels, they show you about how they waited so long for their crush to reciprocate the feelings, and then one day they suddenly did. You see so many romantic movies that have that kind of story where they're in friend zone, and then suddenly it all works out and they have a romantic ending and they're together by the end of the film, or something like that. You always see that kind of thing, but that kind of stuff rarely happens in real life. In fact, I doubt that it ever actually happens in real life. Sometimes I've heard of people that have got together who were friends, but basically what happened with those people is that they already both kind of liked each other a bit, but no one was saying anything. But if you actually say to someone that you like them and they reject you, then that person is out, right? What you need to understand is that attraction isn't a choice. And that's a quote from David D'Angelo, who's another dating coach. And basically, David D'Angelo talks about how attraction isn't a choice. And basically, if a woman or a guy is attracted to you, there's not really much that they can do about that attraction. But it's also, if they're not attracted to you, there's nothing they can do to, and there's nothing you can do to manipulate them, or there's nothing they can do to manipulate themselves into finding you attractive. Attraction is something that's just there. It's just inside of them straight away, and it's not something that can be moved too much. If they're attracted to you, they're attracted to you. And if they're not attracted to you, then they're not attracted to you. There's not really much you can do about attraction. So basically, you want to be always searching for those people that are attracted to you, that do want you, that do want to be there, that do want to go on a date with you, that do want to end up in something romantic with you. You must always be searching for those kinds of people, and stop wasting your time on the people that it's not working out with, that are not reciprocating feelings, that are putting you in friend zone. Always, 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 walk away from those people that do not want you in the same way that you want them. And you know what? If someone does put you in friend zone, the best thing that you could really say to them is, oh, I like you in a different way. I like you in a romantic way. I'd love to date you. I'd love to hang out with you in that kind of way. If you're not, if you don't want that, then that's cool. But, you just let me know if you change your mind about it. But I'm not going to be your friend or anything like that, because I'm not interested in friendship. Now, it might be the case that you are interested in friendship and you can do that, but most of the time, I think if you stick around with someone that you have a crush on who only wants to be friends, you're just going to prolong that crush, and it's not going to really work out well for you. And if you do find someone to date, and you get into a relationship with, and you're still friends with the person that you had a crush on, it might cause like a weird rift between you and your current boyfriend or girlfriend. So you don't want to be hanging around with people that you've been really, really attracted to, unless that attraction does actually fizzle away. But, you need to really be honest with yourself, really get real with yourself and think, hey, can I actually be friends with this person without being attracted to them? And don't BS yourself, like really answer it honestly. And if you come to the conclusion that, you know what, yeah, actually I can just be friends with this person, I can detach myself from them and not feel attraction for them, then more power to you and brilliant. But I think most of the time, you can't really get rid of that attraction, because like I said, attraction isn't a choice. That, going back to that quote by David D'Angelo, you can't help it if you're attracted to them. And if you have that attraction for them, it's only going to mess things up for future relationships if you continue to be pally and friends with them. It's best to just let go of those people that you're attracted to, that aren't attracted to you, and kind of distance yourself from them. Obviously, it can be hard if you work with them or if you go to school with them, but you can still distance yourself from them. You can still detach yourself from them mentally or even physically. You could ask to work in a different department, or obviously you can't really do that with school too much, I guess, because if you're in the same classroom. But, again, you can still detach. You can still limit the amount of time you interact with them. Stop hanging around them so much and, just detach. And that will probably help you a lot. But when you have a crush on someone, it's really important that you figure out as fast as possible whether or not they like you as well and they are attracted to you as well, and to see how things go. And that's basically the kind of attitude that you want to have as well when you are dating someone that you have a crush on. Don't get too intense about it. Don't start confessing your feelings for them or telling them that you're in love with them. It's best to come from this place of seeing where things go. Don't get too caught up in your emotions. Don't get too caught up in how they look and things like that. It's best to remain quite detached and just see where things go. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. And what I mean by that is you don't want to start fantasizing too much about them, because if you start fantasizing, what you are doing is you are creating a fantasy, and fantasy and reality are way two different things. What comes up in your imagination might not exactly be how it is. You might be thinking about how great it will be to be with them, how great it will be to live with them, all before your first or second date. You've got to remain detached and just see where things go, and just become curious about who this person is, instead of getting wound up in your fantasy. Because remember, your fantasies are in your head, and the reality of the situation, the reality of this person you have a crush on, may be very, very different. And if you did end up in a relationship, but you've been fantasizing about, things and how your expectations were, the reality might be very, very different, and it might be the exact opposite of what you thought. So you don't want to get caught up in your fantasies, because it might not actually be the reality of the situation. And you don't want to, you don't want to fantasize about how great someone is, and then when you get with them, it's really bad, right? And you're in a relationship now and you've been living together and you're like, oh my God, this is not what I thought, this is not what I fantasized. So it's important then to, when you are talking to this person and you're dating them, if you do end up on a date with them, you've got to be very curious about them and finding out who they are, because you don't fantasize as much. Don't fantasize too much, because if you fantasize, your reality is going to just get twisted, and it's going to really make you feel kind of disheartened, actually, if the expectations and what you fantasized wasn't real, right? So you need to remember that this person is a human being. They're not some kind of perfect creature. They're just another human being. You need to figure out who this person is. Yeah, you're attracted to them. You find them really cute. You find them hot, whatever it may be. You want to jump on their skin, basically. But the thing that you need to remember is your fantasy may not play out the same in reality. Okay, so it's very good to remain detached until you start actually living with this person and start actually figuring out who this person actually is. When you spend a lot of time with them, because that's when you're really going to see who this person is. Crushes, when you haven't been dating and you haven't started to get to know them properly, it's just a fantasy in your head, okay? So that's kind of like my advice on what to do when you have a crush on someone. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.